What up, though? It is your boy Big Mike. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Soul Lounge for our new segment, Center Stage. This is where we interview music and entertainment's biggest personalities. And joining us today is a classically trained musician. He is a legendary music producer and director. He has left his imprint in jazz, R&B, and gospel. His family is rooted in gospel greatness. His grandfather is Bishop B.J. Crouch, and his uncle is the gospel icon Andre Crouch. Now, listen, the the list of people that he has worked with is extensive. Let me throw a few names out there for you: Lenny Kravitz, Whitney Houston, Tony Braxton, Michael Jackson. That's right, the man is bad. Please, everybody, turn your radios up and help us welcome to the center stage, Mr. Kenneth Crouch. Oh man, listen. Again, I am honored that you're here with us. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you can be doing anything in the world, but you are here with us on the Soul Now Show. We greatly appreciate it.
I'm appreciative too. It is reciprocity. I appreciate you taking your time out to talk to a chap like me. So it's all good. We're in good company with each other.
So okay. So my first question is this: I've always wanted to know this. When you, as an artist, when you come from a gospel background, is it hard transitioning into doing, quote unquote secular music? Is that a hard transition?
No, not for me because I kind of have like my left brain, right brain sort of thing. So what that means for me is when I was coming up, when I started playing music, my parents got me classical lessons, so I had the classical standpoint. So I was reading music and writing and very, very, very studious on that end. And then the other end of it, like playing in church, playing behind my granddaddy and playing by ear. So that was the left brain, right brain sort of thing. And uh, the guys I went to church with were musicians, and it was just a natural evolution. So it wasn't like it was a thing where I ventured off. It was just a natural. It just
Okay.
naturally just happened like that. Andre and Sandra were on the gospel side, and I was on the gospel side as far as like playing in church. But not only did I go to, not only did I attend my granddaddy's church was black church, but there was a part of my life where I attended a white church too. And
Okay.
with that, it's like I met black kids at the church who were great musicians, and then from there, I met guys who really helped to shape me up. And like one of the guys who really was a progenitor of that, his name was Osama Fifi. He was a bass player who was a year older than me. We used to go to this white church together, and then he went to Beverly Hills High School, and then he introduced me to a guy named Leonard Albert Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz, and we've known each other since the 11th grade. And then, my first European tour was with Lenny, so that was just a natural. Those were just natural progressive, just progressive things that happened thereafter.
I need everybody to understand what he just said because he said that like that.
No, I mean, but
I
it's
need you to understand that he just said that I met Lenny Kravitz in the 11th grade and then went on a world tour.
yeah, we've known each other since high school. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you met Lenny in the 11th grade. So I got to ask the
Well,
question: Did he?
actually, funnier than that, what I was really thinking about it. So my uncle was on, he was on an episode of the Jeffersons,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, that was crazy. He was on the episode of the Jeffersons, and I remember going to that taping. And the first time I saw Lenny, now this is we were like kids, so this was like junior high, and so I saw him. He saw me, but we didn't know each other then. that was the first time I saw him. And then we like really like got to know each other, and like God, I said 11th grade, but actually it was actually 10th grade when we met each other. Come to think
Oh,
of it.
wow, okay.
Yeah. So it was 10th grade, and then it's funny. The one and only time that I ever ditched school, it was me, Osama, my buddy Vadim, and Lenny. We went to go play at Lenny's school. He was going to a place called Uni, and we did like a jazz concert there. And that was the first time that we actually played together. And that was damn, that was a long that was a long time ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got to ask you one question. When you met
Uh,
Lenny Kravitz, was his shirt buttoned up?
you
I'm
know what,
just kidding.
man? No, 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 man. You know what? I I can say so much, but that's the homie. So I can say both button and unbuttoned. We'll just say that. You know what
That
they say?
had so you meet Lenny in the 10th, 11th grade. How
Yeah,
old are you when you on tour with him?
I was on tour with him um a little over a year, and it's so crazy because I remember he called me up. He called me up, and this was in '89. He goes, "Hey, Crouch, it's Lenny." I'm like, "Yeah, what's happening?" He goes, "I need you to come out to New York for about 3 weeks." And there's another keyboard player that he went to school with. His name is Don Wyatt. He goes, "Hey, man, I wanted Don to do this thing, but he's like working on some other stuff. Can you come out for like 3 weeks? And I got a couple shows. I just need you to play." And I said, "Yeah, okay, cool." And it wound up being that I was there. That was my first time in New York, and that was my first time going out with anybody on a real tour, and that was on the Let Love Rule album. And
Oh wow, that was
I
a
went
nice
to
album.
yeah,
That Let Love Rule was a nice. That was a really nice album.
it
But
was
yeah.
like about a year and a half. No, 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 about a year and a half. And we went over to all over to Europe, and I lived in New York at that time then too. Uh, we were in Germany, so we were there like 3 weeks after the wall came down. So I hammered out a piece of the Berlin
Wow.
Wall. Like it was like the stuff that we did. Like we opened up for let me see, we opened up for Bob Dylan, we opened up for Tom Petty, we were on tour with Tom Petty, we opened up for David Bowie. Yeah, it was
Wow.
nuts. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So okay, you meet him in 11th grade. You all on tour. So you in your early 20s. You're what 20, 21 at the time you're on this
I was
tour.
actually so I just turned the tender age of 60 in November, and Lenny's older than me. So yes, Lenny Kravitz is 60 years old, but he doesn't have a dad bod like me. But yeah, yeah. So when I went out on tour, that was 35 years. So I was like 24, 25, something like that.
Wow, man, I have got to go back and do my life over.
No, you don't, but you're doing
Wow.
good, bro. You're doing good. I promise you.
You know, I was listening to your albums,
Okay.
and I listened to Childhood and Him,
Oh,
and I
wow.
had two really totally different experiences with Childhood. It felt that I listened to it, it made me. It was I had a feeling. It made me feel. It was like something really personal.
Super. Because that,
And
yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
oh no, I'm sorry. And listening to him felt like I don't know how I can explain it. It felt like walking into an auditorium of sounds.
I
It
love
it
that.
it it really
Yes. I love that.
hit different senses, and I was like, wow, these are two totally different experiences. When
Yeah.
you're creating these pieces, are you trying to are you trying to get the listener to have a certain experience?
I can tell you this. I am honestly trying to get out. I'm always trying to hit nirvana. So it's like I'm always pushing for being able to hear what I can't hear and to push past myself. So Childhood was my first album that I did, and I was still married at the time, and I was out in Europe with Rashawn Patterson at the time. So we were out on tour, and then we were at this studio called Galaxy Studio in Mole, Belgium, and we had did a concert, we did a show or something like that, and the guy who ran the studio said, "Hey man, come and hang out, come and record at the studio." So I think Rashawn was working on, was it After Hours? I think it might have been After Hours. And then I went into a room and I was just playing. They had a beautiful Steinway, like a 9-foot grand Steinway piano. And so the guy was like, "Oh my God, I loved your playing." He goes, "I want to just extend you, just record like whatever you want to do." So I literally did a record in like 3-4 days. And historically, I take way too long to like write songs, but I literally would write these songs when I was in the shower.
Wow.
I would have an idea and I would be like, "Okay, cool." So I had the idea of the songs in the shower and I recorded the stuff. And so um, there's a jazz pianist who really affected me when I was coming up, and his name was Bill Evans. And Bill Evans had this album, it was called Affinity. And what he did was he made it sound like 2 and 3 pianos at the same time. So he was multi-tracking himself. So I've recorded so much that a click when myself, it's like what my just layered myself. And so when I say childhood, these were just, I was thinking about my kids, my son, let me see, baby steps. Let me think, my son had just learned how to walk. My daughter's like a year and a half older than her. And funny enough, my son just turned 21 and we just had our first cigar. Me, him, and my daughter, we had our first cigar together. Cocktail was cool.
Oh, that's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, it was super awesome. And so I wrote these songs, so they were like real family songs. Him, because I love sound, I love like sound architecture and sound design. Him was something that I wrote during the pandemic because I was terrified to be around people. And so I was doing like what a lot of people were doing. I was like going online and just like doing like little live streams or whatever. What I did was I recorded those live streams into the computer and then I overdubbed them. And it was just, I was really influenced by um, Brian Eno. Brian Eno, just like super dope writer, composer. So I just wanted it to kind of, it was kind of like my nod to him because it's like, I like the way that he puts sound and orchestration and composition all together. So that's what that is. So all that to say, it's not like, okay, I'm doing something very specific and I'm trying to get somebody to buy into it. It's like, I'm honestly just getting out just the ideas that are in my head. And for so long, I've held these things in together. And so, like, I was just looking at my computer. I probably got right now, just on my computer right now, about 1,200 like song ideas
Wow.
I'm that I'm just kind of formulating. And I don't really look at them as like songs. I kind of look at them as like these are just different art collections that I'm kind of putting get together. And so like another story I could say, and then I know I'm running my mouth and I'll
No,
let
no,
you.
no, no. Take it. You take your time. Do your thing.
So another artist I was with, oh Jesus. Okay, so I was on the tour. I was on tour with Eric Clapton. And how that happened was there's 2 number 1 songs I played on. One of the songs was a song called Change the World that I worked with Babyface on. So I did a bunch of stuff with Babyface, and then I did Change the World with him. And that's how I first got introduced to Eric Clapton. So that's a whole funny story in and of itself right there. But I went to the Picasso Museum, and when I saw Picasso's work, it really resonated in me. And you can see kind of like, if you look at it like as music, you can kind of see like what his hit songs were and stuff like that. But then it really showed me that this is just a guy just getting out what's in him, and you can see the transformation of him having an idea and it being flushed out into pieces that we know. So um yeah, so when I saw that, those were the kind of things that just like really interest me, and I just said, wow, these are like bodies of work. So I just have like these different sort of sound things that I put together, and yeah, that's just kind of how I see it. So it's not like I'm trying to fit in, and somebody can say, well, give me a song like Brandy. It's like I don't know how to do that again. It's like, it's like I those are like butterflies that just flew out there at that time, and you just put them out in the wild, and that's what it is. So I man, I just these things kind of come to me, and I just try to make it so they make sense, and then they just land where they may.
It was really, I was like, man, this is like, I think it was the song Brushes.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
could hear
yeah,
you playing the keys. I said, man, that's very interesting. That's something I'd heard before.
yeah,
I could actually hear you playing the keys. I said, wow, this is. I say it was just like walking to an auditorium and just all these sounds are coming at you. It was really nice. It was really cool.
right on, man.
And you mentioned the pandemic. I got a question.
Mm,
The pandemic changed the world. The world went upside down,
hmm.
and it really affected pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So, did you the way that you performed, the way everything that you did before pandemic, did you change any of that after the pandemic, as far as going out and working with other people, going out traveling, touring, any of that?
Um, no, you know what? It was like, no, it pretty much was kind of the same. Um, because especially when you're a traveling musician, I don't want to say feast or famine, but it's like, it could be that, okay, you're out on a 2 or 3 or 6 month or a year run, and then you're home, and then you're doing other things. And so us as troubadours, musicians, it's like we have a really diverse portfolio. So it's like it's not like you're doing just playing or just touring. It's like, okay, I'm like at home, I'm doing like residencies, and then when I'm on the road, I'm doing that, and then I'm doing like um studio work. And even then, it was crazy. Even during the pandemic, I remember Aloe Black. That's crazy. Aloe Black calls me up, and I played on a song. I remember doing this song in my hotel room in Sedona. It was either in Sedona or in Zion, Utah. And he sent me this track, and it was him and Leanne Rhymes. And I just played it, and I just made it so that it felt like really real. And he approved it and sent it off, and it's on Spotify and everything else. So it's just like, I think that us as musicians, we always have to be malleable and adapt, you know,
Mhm.
and especially now, and I'm definitely adjusting to it now, but no, I can't really say that it changed. It's like, because it's always forever changing. I think the
Right.
shit is definitely way different now. So it's like you got to be really smart, like with AI and stuff like that, which I love. Like, there's a lot of people who don't like it. I dig it. I think that we just have to be smart about how we go about using it. And technology is just a tool. It's not a replacement. Like, I always say that AI can't replace AI. Like, artificial intelligence cannot be trumped by authentic intelligence. And maybe I'm looking through rose-colored glasses, but being
I'd
that I
agree.
am, huh?
I would agree.
Yeah. Being that I'm a tech head, I love technology, and I love the idea of how I can use technology to help me to think past myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just getting into the, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I kind of fought it for a little bit, and I love technology. I'm like, I love technology,
Yeah,
and when it really started to become a thing as far as AI,
yeah,
I was a little, I was a little,
yeah.
uh,
I get it.
this is the beginning of the Terminator, uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Sarah Connor.
um,
Yeah, man.
yeah, so I was a little hesitant, but it really is a tool. I mean, because it's amazing what you can accomplish using AI. And I mean, just in the things that have taken me, sometimes days to get accomplished as far as writing things and putting things together.
Man.
I can go
Yeah,
in there and give this thing a few instructions, and I'm out of there in the next couple minutes.
yeah, yeah. And the magic of I think it makes you a smarter and a better writer, and it makes you more imaginative because it's like the real the real thing to it is how good are you with your prompts, because
Yeah.
it can only be as good as what the prompts are, and that's
Right.
where, to me, that's where the IP is. So it's like I have a list of like all of every single prompt I've done. I've got everything categorized and saved in PDF, and it's like, and I'm looking to go ahead and to copyright all of that stuff. So you just got to think like it does and think ahead of it. So it's
Right.
like, okay, well, these are my prompts, and it's like, and this is my intellectual property. So it's like being ahead of AI like that. It's like thinking like that.
Okay. I always wanted to know this. When
Okay.
you have worked with, I mean, the biggest names in the industry,
Mm.
and when you go into a studio to work with an artist, at what point do you know that, okay, what we working on is something special? This is a hit. This is it. Do you know that going into it? Or, when you put it together, or once you hear, this artist either put their piece to it, but at what point in that process do you know that, oh, we got a hit?
Okay. This is what I can honestly say. It's a weird thing when I write the music that I write. That's its own thing, and so I don't know how to write a hit on my own. I have worked on other things with other people, and I have a good gauge of what I think to be of putting good taste on music. So what I'll do is this: is like I assess the room, and with the type of technology we have, it's like we're not working on like 24 or 48 tracks. So we have an unlimited amount of tracks. So I'll find out what it is that they want, and I'll give them what they want. And then I'll just say, hey, give me a couple tracks and let me do what the music is telling me, and they can take it or leave it. And more often than not, when I do what the music honestly tells me, fused with what they have, it's like it's bigger than what they could have even initially thought. And that's the way that music and artists, I think, is supposed to be. You know, we have a general kind of guideline of what we see in our mind's eye, and then when we because we're all part of this big ecosystem of life. Once we get together, then it turns out to be something more exciting than what we thought, initially. So could I say that I know that something is a hit? No, I don't have that magical capability, but I know that when I do something in the studio, and like what we're doing right now, like great songs and great art are just a byproduct of great conversation, you know?
Okay.
And so what people get to hear is they get to hear the auditory result of great conversation. And then Whatever the record company does or whatever the management does, that's on them. My job is done. But I know that when I'm with good, smart people with integrity with the music, and they allow me to do what it is I do, then it makes for an interesting conversation. That's the only way I know how to really answer that.
Okay. Was there ever? I mean, because I said, you worked with Shaka Khan,
Yep.
the Temptations. Have you ever walked in the studio and been starstruck about who you about to work with?
Um, um, these weren't people that, funny enough, there's been times where I've been around people that I didn't actually work with at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, so a couple of people, I remember one time I was playing, there was a club out here called Glam Slam years ago. That was like in the 90s or so. And I was playing and my eyes were closed. My eyes were closed and I was just like because I do that. It's like I was in my zone and I just smelled something like really floral. It's like that. And when I came out of my daze, Prince is staring at me and I'm looking at him like this
Oh
motherfucker.
wow!
So,
Oh wow!
so I look at him and then I just closed my eyes and I just kept on playing after that. And I finished doing what I was doing. Then I introduced myself. That was that. Another time, uh, I was with my aunt and my uncle at the studio, and it was me, Saida Garrett, and this great engineer, Bruce Swedeen, who Quincy did a lot of work with. And we're just in there talking. And then in comes Michael Jackson. And I was like, all right, this is Michael. And yeah, that was funny.
Oh,
And he was hella cool because he was really good friends with my uncle and my aunt. That was cool. And another person that I was just like, oh my God. Um, Another person I worked with. So I was musical director for Mark Anthony. Oh God, that was like the beginning of 2000 to 2007 or so. And we were rehearsing at SIR in New York. And I walk out into like the little lobby area and I see a hero of mine. To like any sort of music geeks like me, I saw Donald Fagen from Steely Dan.
oh
And he
wow!
goes, "Hey man, what's your name?" And I said, "Kenneth Crouch." He goes, "Me, like, are you related to Andre?" Real. I said, "Yeah, that's my uncle." He's like, "Well, come on in, dude." He introduced me to him and Walter Becker, the guy that did all those Steely Dan records.
Oh
I
wow!
was just like, I was losing, I was losing my mind. Oh, and Chick Corea, yeah, Chick Corea, famous pianist. Uh, I had a chance to play with him. We did a duo when I was 17. I was blown away. Yeah, I forget these stories because it's like I've got story after story after story after story. And yeah, so yeah, those are people that I can think of that really like blew me away. Yeah, yeah,
I'm listening to you name these names, man, and I'm just sitting here going, do you? I mean, now that as you sit right now, do you look back over it? I mean, do you go, man, I've
yeah,
done something. I mean, do you? I know because I know a lot of artists say when they're in the moment, you're kind of just, you got your head down and you're working, so you're going from one project to another, and sometimes you really don't take time to enjoy the moment and live in that moment.
yeah. That definitely happens. But then it's really funny when I have instances like this. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah. And I think it's a blessing. I think that you know that you're really onto something when you've done so much that you forget. And it's not a flex. It seems like it's a flex, but it's just a reminder that I'm working.
Right.
It's just, listen, I'm in the mud like anybody else. And I am fortunate that people ask me to come and do certain things because, like, one thing I don't believe in, like when somebody says, "Oh, this person's the goat" and all that kind of shit, is like that's the most ridiculous term. And it's funny because me and Omar, we were kind of going back and forth with this, but it's like I like the term like the greatest. It's like that's all just subjective,
Very much so.
you know, and I'm just grateful that for some reason people allow me to show just my point of view, because really that's really all it is. It's like, well, this person's this person's that. It's like, well, all right, you can think however you want to think, but it's like one day your thought process is going to be looked at as passe to somebody. And so I would hope that I do good work that stands the test of time, and luckily people kind of buy into my thought process, and that's really it. It's really it's really that simple. We're not as great
Um,
as we think we
right. I mean, man, tell me something. Going in, we come from we're old enough to come from the analog age of music. When
are. Come on, man, talk
you
about it.
you had to go get an album, and that was part of the, music was back then was an experience because you got
Come
to,
on.
you got to feel the album, you got to look at the album art, you got to read who produced this, who wrote that, and going into the digital age, a lot of that is kind of stripped away.
It is
So, I
that.
mean, do you find it kind of hard to connect, or what you're doing to make it connect with your audience now? Because so much of, all that information and things that really put you in touch and made you feel like you had a connection with that artist or with that person. You can, you knew back then that, okay, such and such wrote this because you had a chance to read that, and you could hear when they wrote other songs because you could, you know what I mean. So, and it gave you a connection with everything. And in going into this digital age, so much of that has been extracted from the music. So now it just, it doesn't. I don't get the same connection that I
Well,
had. Is that something that you noticed? As far as when you're
oh my God, without question. So so something that me and Omar were talking about. The thing I like about, and it's a correlation. The thing I like about smoking cigars is it's like vinyl to me. It's a very deliberate act. So you get the album, you blow off the dust, you take it out the sleeve, make sure all the stuff is down. You go get yourself a drink of water or whatever. And when it drops down and that needle hits and you hear the crackle, that lets you know that you're about to listen. You're about to be.
yes,
It's like that. I don't know if you remember the old like THX thing that says the audience is listening.
yep,
It's that. And I think that analog, you had to be patient because you weren't skipping songs. You were listening to the whole record through,
there you
and
go.
then you would go in and turn the thing over. And I think that now, I think that I feel really bad for kids who are younger because I don't know if they have that same sort of culture where they're really listening to full bodies of work and looking at the album cover and looking at the credits and looking to see who was the first and second engineer and seeing where it was recorded. Like all that stuff matters. Like, and so for me, I think it's really important because like it's funny, like I was at the lounge last night, and like everybody has like the same instruments, but you can tell. Like,
Yes,
oh, it's like, okay, oh, this is a Cameo record. This is an Earth, Wind, Fire record. This is a Steely Dan record. This is a Chicago record. This is a Parliament Funkadelic record. And everybody worked at having a sound, whereas a lot of stuff to me now it sounds homogenized, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
I don't shit on the music, because it's like I don't want to be the old guy at the club talking about, oh, another day, because it's like they don't give a
Right.
fuck about that. They could give two
Right.
shits about that. Some dig it, some don't. You know, my kids, luckily, they're what they're into, and you know, like their mother, has great music taste. I think I have pretty decent musical taste, so they have the the benefit of having like older parents who really were in this music thing, and then fuse with whatever that they're into. Not whatever, that sounds kind of disingenuous, but to be what they're into and fusing all those things together.
You speak of your kids. Do they know who their father is? I mean, do they know?
My my daughter said something. So my son, when he was 18, he's like, Dad, when I turn 21, I want to have a cigar with you. And I wasn't smoking then. Now I'm an avid cigar smoker. And so I took him to the lounge that I go to. I actually just became a member yesterday, funny enough. And I brought them. And so my daughter and my son, my daughter, I think, has of a more gregarious, um, uh, her personality is more gregarious. And she was talking to one of my partners up there, and she was like saying, I'm not just saying it because that's my dad, but I think that he's one of the world's greatest pianists. And to hear
Oh
that
wow.
come from my daughter, and
Wow.
everybody knows I'm a crybaby, that just like,
That's awesome.
I'm not trying to push myself on my kids. It's like, this is just what dad does. And I jump on planes, or I go all over the world, and I call them. I'm like, okay, I'm in Ireland. Okay, I'm in Poland. I'm in South Africa. And this is just what I do. But for them to like what it is that I do and to be attentive, that warms my heart.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So, here's something a lot of artists, when I watch them do interviews, they talk about, especially usually early on in their career, having that turn back moment when whether for whatever reason, whether they didn't feel that they were growing as artists, or wasn't making the moves they needed to make. Did you ever have that? Since we started at what, 15, 16 years old? Did
Yeah.
you ever have that moment?
Um, you said like a turn back? 'Cause I just want to.
When you get to a point, you're like, man, I don't know if I should, this may not be working out the way I want it to work out. Maybe
Um,
I need to do something else.
you know what? I will tell you this. I, huh, I've kind of felt like that recently. The first time ever. I've kind of felt
Really?
like that recently. Yeah. And I think that because I think that I'm just at a shift right now. Um, but I don't know if it's like, kind of like burning out and stuff like that. And especially, I think that things can get like that when things aren't going as well as you would like them to from a business standpoint. It can kind of get to you.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really funny. It's like I just right before we had this, we got on with this. I had a phone call. Well, I had a phone call that kind of put me, in a sort of, I was in a headspace, and then another phone call thereafter. And all that to say, I think one of the worst things that happens with us when we're creative is when you start making money. I think that's one of the worst things that can happen, because it's like, are you doing this because you love it, or are you doing it because you're trying
Mm,
to make money?
yeah.
And I think that when you're doing things to make money, the art sounds like that. You know, I I I just don't know how honest the art is when you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to hit a lick, and I'm gonna sell these million records. It's like, is that art or is that commerce?
Oh wow. That
So
when you saying that, um, that really resonates with me because I was, as I grow further along on this platform,
yeah,
um, that's something that kind of crossed my mind. Like, man, I don't want to get to a point where I'm just feeding the machine.
right.
Where you're not doing it because of the love and what you're, the passion that you're putting into it. That it gets to a point where now I'm just doing something to feed a machine.
Yeah, because then it turns into cannon fodder, and it's like, okay, am I like I'm really at a point now where I really understand that we're all part of this ecosystem. Like nobody is disconnected. We're all an ecosystem. So it's like, how can I be of best service to the ecosystem? And I know it sounds corny, but it's like I really do believe it. Like is what I'm doing good for mankind? And and that sounds hella corny, but it's like that's really where I am. And so I think maybe in a way I'm kind of maybe like as I'm regaining my footing, it's like, how am I a contribution to my fellow man? And I look at like where we are politically. I look at where we are, just like, like that. It's like, look, I can't save the world, but what can I do? What can I do to help make things better? And I think about the art. I don't like to say my art. I think about the art that comes through me. So, is what I'm doing beneficial to the ones who would have ears to listen to me? I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes total sense to me because one of the reasons I started the Soul Lounge was for that reason. What you just said, I wanted to create something that gave the imagery I see of our culture on a daily basis. I don't like it,
Yeah,
and there was a time when whether we were a musician, a artist, a singer, if you were an athlete, there was an understanding of the imagery that you were putting out into the world. They were conscious of that,
yes,
and I wanted to go back to that time when we cared about what we said in music, what we
right,
did on stage,
yes,
the interview, the way we spoke, you know, because I believe it's important to give, especially this generation, the idea, the note, this notion that you don't have to be ignorant to succeed. You
no,
don't have to play into all of these stereotypes of
right,
your culture
right,
to succeed. There are people who are eloquent and they created all these things and they did it with a level of decorum. And
absolutely.
that's why
But
I wanted to. So that was one of the reasons why I created this platform. So I understand totally what you mean.
yeah, and me, like, I love grammar, I love diction, I love punctuation, and it is my hope for me that I can, when I speak, that I speak with some sort of level of intelligence and uh, and not to talk over people's heads, but decorum and intelligence. And I would hope that however my plane lands, that it lands safely on somebody's tarmac. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that's really where it is for me. And so I'm kind of in a it was brought to me like there's a part of ecology, like when you're farming, is called fallowing, where when the ground when the soil is tilled and you just let the soil kind of sit to kind of like reacclimate and to like recalibrate its nutrients and stuff like that. So I feel that I am like in a fallowing stage. And so I'm just like, okay, what is my next thing? Like, it's like I want to be excited about what I'm doing, and I don't want to do things just to do it. So that's where I'm at. And so one of the good things is like me doing this. Like, I think I speak pretty fairly well, and I love conversations with people. And I'm just like, well, you know what? This might be something that I can do. And it's like, but I don't want to do it just because this is like the the flavor of the month. You know what I'm saying? Want to make sure that it's something that is worthwhile. So this conversation for me is worthwhile.
I really appreciate that, man. I got a request as a fan.
Okay.
As a fan,
Okay.
this is what I'm asking for. You, your friend, your buddy, Trevor Lawrence Jr. I need y'all to get together and put together a compilation of all the beautiful man, the wonderful voices that you all have worked with,
Wow,
and to oh man, that listen, I need that in my life.
man,
I need you all to put your heads together and work that out for me.
that would be crazy. Like the stuff. Oh my God, just the stuff that me and him have done together. Like, shoot, what did we do? Like, think about it. Like, we did Mariah together. We did we did a bunch of stuff. Man, that's a blur. Yeah, I gotta like really think about that. Terrace Martin together. Yeah, I just gotta think about that.
I
Yeah.
man, I need y'all to that's my Christmas wish.
I
I need that in my life. That will be a bad album, man.
think you're right. That could be amazing. Yeah, man. Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, yeah. He's a wealth of knowledge. That is for sure. For sure. Yeah, he's definitely one of the pillars of LA without question.
I saw a video of yours, man. I unfortunately I don't know. Like it was made a while back. The video didn't say, exactly when it was when it was
Okay.
recorded. It looked like you was in a convention hall, like a convention hall.
Okay.
And I hope I'm saying the man's name correctly. You were playing the piano with a guy named, I believe it was Michael Pittman.
Oh, that must have been during the Nam show.
Listen, I watched that piece, and I've seen two people play the piano before, but you all did something that I sat back and I watched it again. I said, wow, you all switched places
Yeah.
while you were playing the piano. I said,
Yeah.
what kind of, what am I watching? How do you do that and not step on the other person while you're playing? That was amazing to me.
We lit. We listen. We listen and we don't judge. No. 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 Those are fun things to play. So it'll be like that's the thing that pianists do. They'll be like, all right, we'll be like, okay, look, let's play four hands, okay, and then we'll be like, we'll play four hands. So the cat who's playing on the upper end, that's like he's playing like the melody and stuff like that, and he's playing like some harmony stuff, and then the guy who's like, the lower end is playing like bass and that sort of thing, and that's a very interesting dynamic because there's so much on between the two pianists. And whereas us as pianists, we have so much that we do just as singularly as pianists but they have two pianists on one piano. You're having to thin out all of this thickness that goes on, you know, and so that's a that's a fun thing. So there's that, and then there's like there could be like three separate pianos going on. So you really have to listen to what the other person is doing, and and it's a real sort of like call and response, and it's when humanity kicks in, and you just got to listen, and what it has to do a lot with is like really knowing the song, really knowing the melody, and giving a person, it's like a dance, so it's like giving a person, step, uh room to breathe. And so that's what we do, and we do step with each other, but the more, I think, the more experienced you are in really knowing the lyric and the melody of a song, you know how to bob and weave, and how to get out of each other's way and still have a great musical conversation.
That I watched, I said, man, all these guys fooling. You bad already, boy. But when because it didn't look from the video, it didn't show the beginning of you all playing, so it kind of comes in and
Right.
you're already playing, and then he comes on, so it looked more just like something organic that happened. I said, man, these
Oh
guys are.
yeah, it was. It definitely was.
Oh, that's. I mean, listen, uh,
And those
it
things
was
happen.
phenomenal to
Yeah.
watch from me because I said, then when you switch places, I said, wow, wow.
Uh,
Y-
yeah.
Um,
That happens. Definitely, for sure.
One last question here, but we're becoming close to the end here. I got just a few more questions for you. Um, how was when you look back over your career now? What ways was your uncle Andre, and I'm praying I got this other person right? Is it Walter Hawkins?
Ooh, man. Ooh.
How did they influence your career?
Oh my God. Jesus. On It's so funny because we were talking about my uncle last night. I was like, and you kind of touched on it, like people who like like starstruck. Andre was my first rock star, hands down.
Wow.
How to be a good human by watching him and watching how gracious he was with his gift. So he really set the the example forward to me with how he, just like how he carried himself. And when I tell you a rock star, it was like, I remember I did a thing with Lionel Richie. It was Chucky Booker had called me to do something. He's like, "Hey man, I need you to sub for me." We were doing Dancing with the Stars, so I did this thing, Dancing with the Stars. I did it with, it's just like a mime thing. So you just kind of come in and then mime or whatever. And then we did that. So then then we were cool. And then went outside and I saw Lionel. I just said, "Hey Lionel, it's nice to meet you." I said, "You don't know me, but I think you know my uncle." And then he was like, "Who's your uncle?" And I said, "Andre Crouch." And he goes, "Your uncle is the at that time." He goes, "He's the chaplain of the music industry." He's like, "Man, he's like he was respected by everybody, Lionel, Michael." So I learned that I got a pass basically because of like how great that my uncle was to people.
Mm,
And then Walter Hawkins, for me, now this is like, I don't get into like who the GOAT is and stuff like that,
right.
but for me, his voice, as far as like being a male gospel singer, he man, I can listen to stuff when I want to burst into tears. I put on Walter Hawkins, man.
Oh wow.
Man, because he has such an honesty, and he has such class and such dignity, and He really knows how to like. He fires on all cylinders for me as far as like being a great songwriter, being a great musician, being a great singer, being a great orator, being a great deliverer. You know, the delivery is just amazing, and like those are the little excellent mile markers that move me, and that's why I love to listen to like Walter sing and my uncle play. Like, man, and it's like, man, oh man, it's like my uncle makes me want to strive, and it's like, man, I hope that one day that I can be uh, half as good as him, because he was, man, he was the shit, and I hope that the humanity he taught me, I hope that that can happen for me too. Yeah, and
It
so
is
grateful.
it's when listen to you speak about your uncle, man. It in just normal everyday life, it shows that it really matters, and I think it's something that people don't take into account when they interacting with people, but
Yeah,
just how to treat people, because you never know who's coming behind you and how that interaction with this person, you never know what's going to
yeah,
come out of that.
yeah,
And like I say, to come behind and these people welcome you with warm arms
man,
and embrace you with love because of what he already poured into those people.
man, you know, phew, I'm so lucky that, like, I tell people that music is just the byproduct of conversations like what we're doing right here. This is music. This is music that we're making. This is art that we're making. I think that so many times people look at the medium, but it's all the other stuff that leads up to that. And to have a man like my uncle, who he wasn't just my uncle, he was an uncle to many. I'm just lucky that we have the same blood, you know, and I do my best to be a bit of that for what he showed me. But not only my uncle, but my father and my grandfather. They were stand up people, and they were like really solid in what they were. And so I just try to be solid in that. That's it, you know. And it gets me, and it gets me because I'm so grateful, man. I'm so grateful that I get to do this. That people will put me on planes, and I get to fly, and I get to talk to people. I get to like visit places. I get to see things that my gift and my skill set has taken me out to do. And I am so grateful, man. You know, so grateful.
Well, I
Super.
want to tell you, but before we get to these last few questions, since
Yeah.
we're in this place, I created the Soul Lounge was my ode of gratitude to artists, musicians, and writers like yourselves that lended your talents to us, created, the moment, some of the most precious moments that I have with my family, my
Man.
kids. I mean, everything, were set to
Yes.
the music that you all created and gifted us.
Man. Yeah.
And I wanted this platform to be, this was my thank you for that,
I get it.
because
And you
you
know
all
what?
gave us, you gave me, being the youngest, I'm the youngest in my family. Seven, it was nine of us, youngest.
Jesus.
And, when back then, kids was you was seen, not heard.
Right.
and my family, when you want to be a part of the conversation when you're a kid. But I said I came up in that time where hey, these grown folks, you gone somewhere else and go play.
Yeah,
but they would listen to, I would see them listen to the music and how they bonded, and then I learned that music, and then so when they would have get-togethers, I would hurry up and go throw on James Brown. I hurry up and go throw on some Bloodstone or go throw
man,
on some Temptations, and
bro.
then
Yes.
once I started playing the music, that was my ticket to stay in the room and
Come on,
soak up,
man.
the environment, and it
Yeah.
gave me a voice to connect
Yes,
with my family. And
bruh.
you are part of that ecosystem that gave that to me. So I'm appreciative
Well,
for you all
I
lending your talents to us.
here's something that I've learned, bro. Like us as the lucky, the lucky ones who get to put this art out. It's our responsibility to be the soundtrack to your memories, man. And so when you're telling me that, it lets me know that I'm doing my job right. We are fortunate creatures, and especially right now, just where the world is right now, we're about to see so much more great art because shit is really fucked up right now, and
Yeah.
and I'm just so grateful that I get to walk on earth right now during this time. It's scary and it is a blessing that we are making history in the midst of the storm right now. Yeah,
And it is much needed, man.
yeah,
It is
yeah.
much needed. I got what I call a few spotlight questions for you. These are just some this or that, some little situational questions just to get to know Mr. Kenneth Crouch.
Okay.
Nah, pizza or burger,
Burger.
beer or wine.
Ooh, man. I had both yesterday. Jesus. If I had to, if I had to flip a coin, oh, today I would probably say beer.
Okay, okay. Luther or Marvin Gaye?
Marvin Gaye.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Oh yeah.
Now I need you to put your thinking cap on for this one.
Okay.
You going back to the 16, 17, 18-year-old Kenneth?
Okay.
You have to start your music career. You're starting all over. You got two cities. You got New Orleans or you got Detroit. Where do you believe you can start your career over again?
New Orleans. Phew. Yes. New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yes,
Why
sir.
is that?
Especially me being a pianist and listen to the piano players from there, man.
Okay.
They 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 resonate in a way with me that's so familiar. New Orleans, hands down. And just the
Now
way, just the swing and the swagger and the absolute blackness. It's so it's so um, hoodly majestic when I hear it. I would say New Orleans, hands down, for me.
okay, okay, New Orleans. Hey, my family out there in New Orleans, out in Monroe, East Monroe. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Huh.
Hey, listen. This is where we gonna step back and shine the light on Mr. Kenneth Crouch. I want you to take this moment, and if you got anything going on, any touring, any new music, any appearances, anything you got going on that you want to let all of your fans out here know about, the floor is yours.
Wow. First of all, I want to say to everybody, first of all, I'm just so grateful to be here, just hanging out with you. And um, first and foremost, follow me on Instagram. That's I Kenneth Crouch. I'm I'm in my in between stage right now, so I'm just formulating just like some worthwhile collections that I want to share with you guys. Um, I'm in a transition period right now, so I don't know exactly what all of that looks like, but I'll be integrating more of my content on YouTube as well, so you can find me on YouTube. And shoot, drop me a line. I'm supposed to be going out to Europe in the middle of July. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see when those dates come up, and I'll be doing some of my own things as well. But just shoot me a little note on Instagram. I'll hit you back, and I'll let you know what I'm doing, because it's like I'm in a regrouping phase right now. But uh, yeah, and if there's something that you want me to play on that you think I might like, shoot me a line, and we'll see how we can be benefit, how I can be of service to you guys. That's it.
Well, listen, on behalf of all of us here at the Soul Lounge and our listeners, man, I sincerely thank you for taking time out of your day and spending it with us. I thank you for the stories, and being open and sharing, all of your knowledge and experiences with us, man. I greatly appreciate it, and I just want you to know that again. Say this was created as a thank you to you
Well,
and everyone in your ecosystem for sharing with us, for you know giving us and lending us your gifts that gave us music that touched us and got us through all kind of situations and became part of our daily lives, man. And I just want to tell you thank you, and we really appreciate you.
I thank you. And the good thing about it is, look, I do not have one foot in the grave. I have a lot of music that's in me, and a lot of music that I've created. And I'll put it out there, and it's for my fellow for my fellow townspeople to go ahead and say what they feel of it or think of it, and hopefully it sparks some kind of conversation with people. And it's just my honesty coming out, and that's it. That's it. No more.
Everybody, I need you to go to his Instagram and bombard him with listen, we need him, Trevor, and whichever one of these artists they want to pick out. When they listen, we need that album. We need that compilation album. I think that would be a instant classic. So I need y'all every day.
Hilarious.
Don't let him forget.
Oh, and you know what? And I want to give a special, special, special shout out to our good friend Mr. Omar McGee for making the connection with us as well, because he's the culprit behind this particular this conversation right here. So big props to him as well.
Yeah, he's I'm in my infancy with the cigars with him. So real quick, he took me to he came into town here, and we go to a local cigar lounge, and I hope I'm saying the name this correctly. He got me the, was it Flat Bottom Betty?
Oh, a
I
fat.
think it's
Okay,
called.
okay, a fat bottom
And
Betty.
see now
So
how you see how you chuckle. See how you
uh, he got you training
everybody
wheels.
that
I got you. He got you a fat bottom Betty. So he got you.
yes,
It
a
was it
fat
was a,
bottom.
it's a stick with it. It's like a sweet tip on there.
Yeah. So just how you chuckled everywhere I went in this cigar lounge, and they find, they see I'm smoking this Fat Bottom Betty. I said, man, what you doing to me, man? Everybody chuckling every time I say I'm smoking this Fat Bottom Betty, man. What this something I ain't supposed to be doing? What's going on?
Oh, we gonna get you. We gonna get you right. We're gonna get you a Connecticut. We're gonna get. You're not ready for Maduro, but we're gonna get you a nice Connecticut. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you right.
Yeah, because I ain't going in there and asking for that Fat Bottom Betty no more. I ain't
Yeah,
doing
man.
that.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
I appreciate you, man. Man, thank
Right
you
on, man.
again. Thank you. I hope you listen. Anything the Soul Lounge can do for you, please let us know. Let me know anything you need us to do, man. We are at your disposal.
Well, man. you have done more than enough. And when I have like some good Sonic offerings, I'll shoot it your way and let you take a gander.
Oh, okay. See, now you're
And
just playing with me.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you now. Like the stuff that you heard, like I have a lot of it's a lot of like outer space stuff for sure, and that's where I live. My father was a ham radio operator, so I used to go to sleep with him sweeping frequencies on the radio. So
Oh, wow.
that yeah, that's another. We'll talk about that offline. Like that's a whole nother thing. So my father definitely, from him being a ham radio operator and being in the Navy and stuff like that and being an electrician, that definitely um, made me who I am sonically as well, for sure, for sure.
Well, this will conclude this interview, man. And I say
Yes, it did.
again, we are indebted to for him taking. He could have been doing anything today. He took time to come spend with us as our first guest on center stage. We love you, man. We appreciate you. I told you we are going to bombard your social media for that album till it happens.
Understood and greatly appreciated. I'll take all the bombardment we can get, man. Much appreciated.
Thank you, man. I hope whatever you do, man. We're praying for you for your continued success, and of course, be safe while you're out there. To everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Soul Lounge for our first segment here on Center Stage. We enjoyed. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed talking to with the legendary Kenneth Crouch.
Right on, man. My
And
pleasure, man.
everybody, I just
All
want
right,
to tell
now.
you thank you.
All right,
Mr.
now.
Kenneth, have a beautiful day. Thank you
And
again.
you
To
as
the
well.
next we meet.
Until then, my man.
Talk to you later.